Ever since ancient crystals were added to the game, and people could feed Nat-5s 4 ancient crystals, use those ancient crystals for splendid blessings, people have been asking me, Bagel, should I feed this monster? Should I feed that monster? I have a dupe at this. Should I feed this? I don't even people that don't even have a dupe, they're like, should I feed this monster for a blessing? I'm like, no, you don't even have a dupe. You're feeding basically for 2-to-1 value, right? So you're feeding, you have to have the Nat-5 to feed first off, and then you have to summon another Nat-5, and then you get 1 Nat-5 at the end. So you're basically feeding 2 for 1. Don't do that if you don't at least have a dupe. Second off, some dupes are pretty valuable. Some dupes are better than others. For the most part, a few reasons. One, are they really good for Siege? Like, really good for, like, easy wins in Siege. Are they easier to skill up? Not easier to skill up. Well, I mean, some easier to skill up. But do they require Devilmons to be good? Because Devilmons are a very valuable, scarce resource. Do they require a lot of Devilmons to be usable? And number 2, are there different builds for them? Like, different rune builds. Does one need a tanky build for this area of the game? Another has a DPS build for this area of the game. So are there different rune builds? And flexibility and overall usefulness in many different aspects of the game. So those are the different reasons you might want to build more than one of a certain monster. But I know this is still like based on user preference. Like, what is your playstyle? Do you like this monster? Do you not like this monster? I mean, I wouldn't feed if you don't have a dupe, though. Like I said, I wouldn't feed if you don't have a dupe. But it depends on your playstyle. Like, I might say like, oh, you could build a second one of this, and you're like, I don't even use the thing that he's even saying that it should be used for. So what do I need a second one of this for necessarily? I'm just giving some input on different builds for certain things. But again, it is all up to your personal playstyle. So anyway, this is 10 useful dupes. How to use them? There's more than 10. 10 is a cool way to say it. 10 useful dupes, even though we talk about more than 10. Anyway, let's get started. First one, Zyros. Double Zyros, arena offense is the thing. Tiana, Galleon, double Zyros. Or Stripper, Galleon W. You can use Triton, you can use other stuff. Stripper, Galleon, double Zyros. Is a good team. It's a team that's been used. It's effective. It's slightly less effective nowadays than it was back in the beginning. But or not even the beginning, but back when Tiana was a thing. Now it's more like Samantha, Tiana, Galleon, Zyros. But this is people still use double Zyros. Still a thing. It needs to be fast, good accuracy, and as much damage output as you can. Violent Rage, Swift Despair, Fatal Blade, like those are all the different good rune sets for him. Basically, depends on what you have at your disposal, what other runes are used up by some of your other monsters. If you're like, I can't make him violent with still good stats, good speed, good accuracy, etc., because then I would have to de-rune my water monkey. What should I put him? Then put a different set on him. It's more about making sure he's speed tuned correctly, making sure he's got good enough stats, good enough accuracy, good enough crit rate, good enough damage output. And personally, I feel like a Zyros is more on the... I don't have my second and third Zyros. I have like 4 Zyroses. I never fed any Zyros. I'm not saying you need 4, but maybe 3 max would be like a reasonable number. But you don't need... I don't think you need 4. I refuse to feed mine. But as long as you have... I didn't Devilmon the second one or the third one. I just have the first one Devilmon. But still works. Still works just like that. Still works just fine. Anyway, double Zyros is good. Tiana. For the most part, Tiana should just be very fast and very fast. Extra bonus points if you could put her on Will. Extra bonus points if you could put her on crit damage and still have good stats. I have mine on both Will and crit damage. But you can also run one tankier for a turn 2 team with Shield Will, and also maybe Galleon on Shield. Maybe Galleon on Shield Will as well. Shield Will and Galleon as well. You could even do Shield Endure Will for her as well and give her like a really high resistance. For a team like that is going to respond to you still want her fast. Make sure everything is speed tuned correctly to go with it. Not have like Tiana like, oh, Tiana's gonna be plus 50 speed, and then the Zyros is gonna be plus 75 speed, and then the Galleon's gonna be plus 23 speed. Like that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Let me explain all the reasons that's not gonna work. But you can do a Shield Will. Tiana team, you don't want her to be super slow. Like, if I say slow, people are going to put, like, 40 speed on her. Like, that, no, not that. But you can do, like, a more tankier style and respond after the enemy comes in and hits you and does the things. Respond to that by cleansing your debuffs that you got and stripping their buffs without taking turn 1, without using her for turn 1. So, there's a bunch of videos and resources on stuff on that for the Tiana, but yeah, that's that. There's also Bastet, another great unit that, but you could build that even if you have just a bunch of fast Tianas. You could use that for easy wins in Siege as well. But Tiana's basically just a PvP unit. If you don't do a whole lot of PvP, I still would. I don't see you needing like a whole ton of Tianas, but like a second one is not a bad idea to have. She's so good though. Bastet, another great unit. Bastet's usable everywhere though. Like you could use Bastet for everything. You could use one on Swift, and you can run one on Violent. You can also do Nemesis Will. I have a Nemesis Will, double Nemesis Will, Megan, which I use similar to that. Megan's very similar to Bastet, but it's something to counter the Leos. Like Leo will go hit the, like a Leo on defense will hit the water unit. If the water unit's on double Nemesis Will, it's gonna increase the attack age of the water unit. She's gonna get the next turn, and then I can come in and I can attack power buff, and she's also gonna boost the attack age even more of the rest of the units, and then I get the next turn. So double Nemesis Will is a thing against Leo defenses, just to keep in mind. So you could run a Bastet like that, not invest a whole lot of Devilmons into like a second Bastet, etc., but you could run one like that. You can also do Violent and a Swift one. So Bastet's another unit to potentially have nice ones. This is, I feel like if you get a second CR, you do not feed that. In my opinion, if you get a second CR, you do not feed the second CR. Maybe even more than that. CR is a great unit. She's got a speed lead. And for RTA, you want a tanky CR. For RTA, you cannot have her be too squishy. For arena offense, you want her to be just a whole bunch of damage, right? Generally, she's Violent Will, but if you see the difference between the builds for arena CR, arena offense CR, it's usually like a little over 200 speed with speed attack, or even attack on like Violent Will, Violent Focus, something like that. And just a lot of attack power, because her bombs do damage based on her attack power. I also know some people that do crit damage CR, because her second skill, the bomb, crit damage doesn't matter for it, right? But the third skill, since it does do damage, it detonates the bombs, but it does damage as well. Some people like to do crit damage CR, which is interesting. I don't run a crit damage CR, but some people do like that, so I'm just letting you know that that's a thing. But for RTA, it's a lot of tankiness, turn cycling, a lot of crit rate, because the bombs aren't necessarily going to kill things, but they'll still do ignore defense damage, and she'll cycle a lot, so she'll be able to do multiple bombs. And a lot of people like to run a super fast, like extra fast Ciara, like an extra 50 speed on it, and like 30,000 plus HP on the Ciara, and the bombs aren't going to one-shot things, but she's going to get a lot of access with the cycling of her first skill. She's going to get a lot of access to a lot of bombs, especially with that speed. She can be very annoying. So I feel like Revenge is not. I don't see a whole lot. I see more Revenge on Juno than Ciara, because the first skill increases the attack age, right? So I see more Revenge on Juno than Ciara, but I think Revenge is an interesting thing on Ciara as well. But you generally see like Violent Will, right? Generally Violent Will, but there's other two sets if you have really good stats on that. But yeah, Ciara's like one of the, like Ciara's gotta be, this is not in any necessarily specific order, but I would put Ciara like very high if you're considering doing, I would put Ciara very high on the don't feed dupes of that list. Someone in the comments gonna be like, I fed 2 extra Ciaras. Oh no, I'd be like, you're not gonna do Ciara and RTA anytime soon. Feng Yan is a very easy siege unit to just get like easy wins. Great siege unit. Generally, Violent Will, high defense and HP, good speed. You could even, all my Feng Yans are on Violent, but I feel like if you just had great stats on him, he's gonna get free turns anyway. So He's gonna get free turns anyway. I bet you could just do it with like really good stats on like weird stuff. Like 200 plus speed, and then as much defense and HP as you possibly can. A little bit of accuracy is good too because he's got the defense breaks. But I haven't tried Feng Yan on anything that isn't violent. But yeah, Feng Yan is good. Also, please, some people run Feng Yan with very low speed. Even my Europe server, I feel like is not a fast enough. It's like plus 70 speed or something like that. That's not fast enough. He still needs to be. You can get enough speed in subs. He just needs to be like 200 speed. Of course, the faster the better. I'm not saying it's not over 200 speed is bad or anything, but yeah, he needs like more than like 20, 30 speed. He needs way more than that. You can't just stick nothing on him. You can't have him be like, because then he's never gonna get turns. He gets turns as part of his passive, but he needs some speed to do that. So yeah. High speed, and he doesn't need crit rate, crit damage. He doesn't need crit rate, crit damage. He doesn't need attack. He just needs a lot of defense, a lot of HP, a lot of speed. That's it. That's basically how to build a good Feng Yan. He's kind of easy to rune. He's kind of easy to rune because he doesn't need some of the stats. He doesn't need attack, crit damage, crit rate. And he multi-hits, so he doesn't need that much accuracy. So anyway, moving on. Poorna. Ooh. Poorna. Poorna's a jack of all trades. Like, Feng Yan's a jack of all trades too. Like, these things are units that have heals. They also have damage. They also have pretty nice leader skills. I mean, Feng Yan's got a good Guild Wars leader skill. Poorna revives itself too. So Poorna's a tank that does big damage, that also stuns, that also passively heals. Love Poorna. One of the best opening units and one of the best responding units. Like, if you can open with Poorna, you can nuke something, right? You can snipe something. But if you respond with Poorna, like, uh-oh, something killed my Poorna. Oh, wait, she's got a second life. It's fine. So, it's just one of my favorite units in the entire game is Poorna. Poorna's one of my favorite units in I feel like I just need to say that again. You could even build them the same way. You could build a speed crit damage attack, attack crit damage attack. The problem with the speed crit damage attack is sometimes you don't get enough damage output from that. Around 200 speed on attack crit damage attack, violent would be optimal. Make fast tanky bruiser. Love Poorna. I love Poorna. I love Poorna. Anytime I can get a Poorna in a match, I'm happy. I'm so happy. Poorna's one of my favorite units. Did I mention Poorna was my favorite units of all time? Yeah. Great overall unit for everything. And you can use one for dungeons. I've seen people run Rage 1 for speed clearing dungeons and a Violent 1 with a little bit more tankiness for PvP. But yeah, Poorna's one of my favorite units of all time. Did I mention that? Samantha. Ooh, this is an interesting one because a lot of people don't realize that Samantha can have multiple. I mean, even 3 builds. So you can have one for arena offense, which is basically a fast build, like 200 plus speed, speed tuned, of course, to go with your other stuff. But on Despair Nemesis, or Despair, some people like Despair Nemesis, some people like Despair Will, some people like Blade, some people like Focus. I mean, whatever you have best stats on. You don't want to be like, oh, I put Nemesis, but I got 4-star Nemesis runes. Like, do something else then. Maybe try something else. You need to be fast, right? Because he's a CC reset unit. Well, if you have him Despair, he's a CC, but reset unit. Also, he's got a 33 speed lead. If you're not trying to go first with 33 speed lead, then I'm confused. I'm confused at your strategy. So that's generally the place that people tend to use Poorna the most. But you can do one all damage, just like Rage, Blade, Rage Will, just attack with damage attack, not even worry about his speed, and just have him as a counter for twins, which people have been doing. You could also run a triple fight Samantha as well, which is an option for Lucian teams, right? Triple fight Samantha with like Samantha, Kabila, Tiana, Lucian, and then like fight runes on Tiana, fight runes on Samantha, and basically those things, like you get turn 1 because you're using Samantha with a leader skill, with the Kabila or Bernard or whatever. So you get turn 1, but you also, the fight runes on that and the fight runes on the Tiana amp up the Lucian's amp magic. Lulz. So he does as much damage as he possibly can. So there's the fight runes, and then the Rage with as much damage as possible, attack or damage attack, as much damage as possible to counter the twins. He comes back, like the twins can't reset anything, so he comes back. People were using that against the Shane and Martina, and that's why you see the people that run Shane and Martina now have more tankiness on the Shane and Martina, because Samantha was just nuking them regardless. It was just like one-shotting them when he comes back. It was just kill them both. So anyway, and I think I know we saw that. I'm trying to remember the match, but I remember there was like a SWC preliminaries match or something like that where I'm pretty sure it was SWC where like that happened. I'm trying to remember the match. I'll see if I can include it or something like that. But anyway, so there's multiple builds for Samantha. Generally, you see like the one. People always think of like the one, but there's different builds that you could use. It doesn't need to be Samantha necessarily for that triple fight, but a speed lead with the triple fight is nice for the Lucian teams. You could use a Orochi, you could use the Light Ninja with the same build. So just something to keep in mind. Ganymede. It's kind of nice to have the option of bringing out a Swift Ganymede every so often. So different PvP situations, most likely RTA, but you could also run a crit damage Ganymede. His skill 3 has a 740% multiplier, which is pretty nice. Does quite a decent amount of damage with that. So just to take into consideration, you could run a Swift. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the first person told people that Swift Ganymede is a thing. Bulwark. Bulwark is a great unit for Siege. I don't personally have one, but I was talking to other people and they were like, yeah, multiple Bulwarks is a great thing to have. Because he's basically a tanky bruiser. He's a unit that has heal that also does damage, like Poorna as well. So DPS, strip, heal, easy siege wins. Well, like Poorna, like Feng Yan, things that do damage, but also have a heal, so they have sustain for the team. He's fairly easy to run too, because you don't necessarily need violent runes on him, so you can just do a lot of value. And then talking about speed tuning there and different things that you could run with bulwarks, but from what people have been saying, they like to run multiple bulwarks because he's easy wins. Easy wins in Siege. So this is just talking about fight rune holders, which I mentioned as far as like the Samantha. You could do the same thing with Vanessa because it's got a speed lead. You could do, like I said, if you're doing a Orochi Bernard for your Lucian team, you can run Orochi with triple fight runes. You can run the Light Ninja with Kabila with triple fight runes. And you can also do the 44% if you're not contesting their speed, right? If it's not like a speed lead that you need to outspeed, and you can just go for maximum Lucian damage, you can use a 44% attack power leader skill with triple fight runes to do as much damage with that Lucian as possible. And this is when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about like generally the fat juicy Lucians. So you can run fight runes on any of these units as like a secondary build. Like I know Vanessa is like generally like speed, crit damage, HP for the RTA build, but if you have a second Vanessa and you're like, oh, what do I do with the second Vanessa? Like consider maybe you might want to do like a triple fight Lucian kind of thing. And then the last one, I know we're like a 15 monsters at this point. The last one, I'm going to talk about some other monsters after this as well. Immunity monsters, you could run these several different ways. Immunity is super useful, especially like Wusa's got a shield and he's got a heal, which is great. You can also build these for crit damage. Like I have, more people have crit damage Veligil than Wusa. I have a crit damage Wusa. If you guys don't know, I have a Wusa. If you guys don't know, I have a Veligil too. I have Wusa and Veligil. These are recent acquisitions from like a few months ago. I did videos on them, but I know some people don't watch every video, don't catch every video. But yeah, I got both these bad boys now. Usually people run Wusa, speed HP, but you can do a crit damage Wusa. I do have a crit damage Wusa. And people usually run the Veligil, or more likely to run the Veligil with crit damage. I have the opposite. He doesn't have the crit damage. It's weird because Bagel is weird. We know this by now. But you could also do like a violent Veligil for overall utility in like Guild Wars, Guild Siege, or other parts of the game. Like if you're like maybe early to mid game, you're using Veligil in some in like dragons or something like that. You could run like a violent Veligil with crit damage for dragons. And then you can have one even for a cleave offense, like if you're trying to do like a Japanese style cleave for RTA, you can have a Swift Veligil for that, which is nice. You can run that with like a Garo or something like that. So different builds, crit damage or violent versus Swift. So you could have the violent versus Swift. You could have the just tanky, or you could have the crit damage build. So anyway, there's those. Also some other, I feel like honorable mentions, whatever you want to call it. Basically, a lot of bruisers, a lot of things that have heals and some damage and some decent HP. Rakan, Ritesh, what else? Things like that where like you can use them very effectively in Siege because they can take a few hits and they can be a damage sponge, nice tanky unit, but also dish out some damage if they get like a proc or two, so. Or with Ritesh it would be violent procs, with Rakan it would be collapse, revenge procs. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I just want I feel like enough people have asked me about this that I was like, okay, I'll just do a video on it, explaining what the things that I feel like are more useful to do dupes of, right? So, like, I don't know if I would necessarily build a dupe Juno. I mean, you could argue that a dupe something is good. Dupe of anything is good, right? You'd be like, oh, I would build a dupe Juno for this. I would build a dupe Juno for that. Or I don't know if I build a dupe Tashar. I think I have dupes of both of those that are not built. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know what I would use a dupe Juno or dupe Tashar for. It's like you use it for this purpose, and that's it. You don't need multiple of this thing. So, yeah, I don't know if I would build necessarily dupes of those. But there are some usable units that are nice to have dupes of. And I know some people also, because I asked other people about this too, some people said dragons, Varad. I was like, I don't know that I would necessarily build a dupe Varad and rune it differently. Varad's a great unit. He's an awesome unit. But I don't know if I would rune him any differently than the first one and like invest into it. So, and there's also people that think that have the mindset of like the completely opposite way. Like, I just want one of this. I don't need more than one. I have the one. Everything else is food. I don't care about anything else. I just need one of each. So, it's all about personal preference, really. So anyway, what would you build dupes of? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Maybe it was helpful. Maybe you guys disagree. It's the internet. Everyone disagrees. I will see you as always in the next one.